It's Chevening o'clock again. Welcome and thank you very much for tuning in. Today we are going to be zeroing in on essays. Not just essays, but essays that win. This is done for the 2025-2026 Chevening application round. It is the round that starts 5th of August 2025, which means your education would begin in the UK in the September of 2026. It's going to be a long format content, so there's no quick way to writing essays that win for Chevening. If you're looking for something quick and fast, this is not the video. You need to schedule time to come back and watch again and again until you get most of the clarity that you deserve to write your winning essays. I've got a very brilliant scholar with me today, Gladys Mwamba. How are you today, Gladys?
I'm doing amazing, Emdee. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. I'm excited about sunlight.
It's been warm lately.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us today to share your knowledge and experience. We're really grateful for your time. In the session, we are going to have a few things ticked off. We'll talk about our scholar, of course. She's the main voice for this conversation. We're really glad to be getting some help regarding essays. We'll do an introduction to Chevening for the sake of people who are new to the opportunity. And then we go into the essay highlights. We will then do the deep dive, which is the real meat of today's conversation. And then whatever we have left out, because it takes more than the essays to put forward a really good application. So we'll look at the application form just to round things off. And of course, you can drop your questions in the comment section. Our guest today is Gladys Mwamba, a truly global sustainability champion. I'll say you
Yes.
are sustainability personified, and I'm really glad and grateful for your journey. Gladys is the founder of Plastic for Change Zambia. A round of applause for a Mandela Washington Fellow in the house. She's also a Chevning Scholar who is currently completing a master's in environmental development and policy at the University of Sussex. Welcome, Gladys, again.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Great. What do you do with Plastic for Change? I know you've recently won another award in China. Congratulations.
Thank
You
you.
know, it's the US, it's China, it's the UK. You literally conquered the world now. So,
Yeah.
tell us a bit about Plastic for Change. What's going on in that world, and why do you stand so much for sustainability?
Well, the plastic pollution is a global crisis at the moment, especially that the world is discussing and is running towards the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And we are five, we are short five years away to 2030. And what have we done so far? And this is the most important or crucial time for us to like wake up and, pull up our socks to make sure that we we get to reach our targets of less carbon emissions. And this is what Plastic for Change has been doing over the years, and that is to taking plastic waste off the environment, not just taking off plastic, but also to look at the labor, the people that are behind this important work, who are the waste pickers. So we have included them to make sure that they have social benefits at the end of the day. And this is one of the core essence of Plastic for Change.
This is really good, really good. I know you're a Mandela Washington Fellow, and we can discuss all of these things for days, isn't it? But I like the fact that you carry the local people in Zambia and also neighboring countries along. You've also recently launched an app, right? So you are marrying the sustainability challenge and solving it with digital solutions as well. So you are grassroots and digital. Tell us about the app and how that is actually helping the change process in the plastic waste world.
Thank you, MD. So the app actually is the digital platform. So I started this digital platform development through my research at the University of Sussex. So basically, what we were doing was to capture data on the amount of plastic that is being recovered by the waste pickers, because Zambia does not have any data on the plastic that is being recovered or discarded, sadly. So I took the initiative to actually design an app and a digital platform to make sure that we're logging the correct amount of plastics that's being collected, and this data is being conveyed into delivery reports for companies like Coca-Cola or Unilever that produce plastic waste, so that they are held accountable for the plastic they are putting in the environment.
Wow. This is very inspirational. I think we need another podcast to just discuss waste, plastic, sustainability, all of that. It's going to be really lovely. We should do it, don't you think?
Most definitely.
Yeah, we should when you've got some time because I know right now you're busy tidying up your master's degree. You also want to catch a little bit of rest after traveling for so long hours from China, right? Well,
Yes.
you inspire a lot of people, young and old, men and women, particularly young girls. Just so and I'm not bluffing. This is for real. While preparing this presentation, the people around me in my little corner, they're like, "Who is that? What's plastic?" And we spent a lot of time, just watching some of your videos. Also watching how plastic is recycled, and I think that really is inspiring new generations to rethink how we use plastic and what we do with sustainability. So, for those who are joining, who wants to follow or engage Gladys, you can check her out on LinkedIn. That's the LinkedIn handle at Gladys SM2. Myself, I'm Emdee Tiamiyu. I speak, I train, I'm a coach. I'm now the progress mentor. Everything progress, you find me there. I'm part of these opportunities because it's changed my life and I know it could change somebody else's life, which is why I'm very, very loud about opportunities. I'm passing the ladder down. Let's now get into the conversation proper. Chevening, we know it is scholarship, right? But for those who are entirely new, who are not sure, is it worth my time? To be spending 2 hours on a video to then spend many, many weeks on an essay. Why is it important to take the Chevening application seriously? And what's the benefit for Chevening? Just briefly.
Thank you so much, MD. As a current Chevening scholar, I think I can confidently answer and tell you why you should immediately apply for Chevening. As you know, Chevening, you know, is a scholarship for global leaders. They started in 1980, over 40 years in existence, with over 60,000 alumni joining. But to my own experience, when you ask me what's about Chevening, it is the transformative journey that has happened. Being a Chevening scholar for over a year and studying in the United Kingdom at the University of Sussex, which is the first in development studies, has truly transformed my life in the shortest period of time. And you had earlier on mentioned about all the awards that I have won and all the places I go to visit. It's because of the exposure, the critical thinking skills, and also the networks that I had to build as a leader as a result of being on this great platform. And this is why you should apply for it. It's beyond uh, academic projections. It's also going to develop you yourself as a leader. So that's why I strongly believe that you should be a Chevening scholar and you should take it seriously.
Wow, this is really good. I like the word transformation because it's limitless, right? When you encounter transformation, even you can tell, right? And
Mhm.
one of the things I say to applicant or would be applicant is the application process itself refines you, right? The questions on the application form, they're not questions that your friends normally ask you. So you may not have answers. And sitting down to answer those questions truthfully, which we're going to start to do in the next couple of slides, is where your transformation truly begins. To think about, oh, did I do that? Oh, so how do I tell the story? Oh, or I haven't done enough. Or You get, so the process of even applying grills you. You come out of the application at the end of submitting a different person. Then when you now become a scholar, you find out it's more than just a master's degree scholarship. It's everything that you'll be looking for in terms of exposure, training, and development. Thank you very much for that introduction to Chevening. Let's now look at the essays themselves. One of the things we know about Chevening essays, and this is the point where you should correct me if I get anything wrong. All right? There are 4 mandatory essays to be filled in your Chevening application, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. As the last time I checked, because anything can change, even though it's been consistently the same over the past few years, you have a minimum of 100 words, which means 99 would not pass. 99 words to just say, I was there. It won't pass for that essay. You need to do at least a minimum of 100 words and a maximum of 500 words. Is this correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Consistently as well, Chevening essays have 4 parts, like we've mentioned, and the first part always is about leadership and influence. The second part usually is about relationship building and shared learning. We're going to go into the details of each of this. We're just checking a few highlights. The third part is about studying in the UK. The fourth part is your career plan. Is this correct based on your experience?
Yes, that's the correct order.
Okay, great. It means that if we put your essays together, let's say you are now done, you want to hit submit, even though as at the time we're recording this, the portal is not open yet. If you put all of your essays together, you should have a minimum of 400 words. I doubt if that will pass, but at least that's the minimum. That's the minimum you should be writing. And if we put your essays together, let's say, and I like what the last caller shared in our previous conversation, that if they remove the titles and merge all of your essays together in one document, will it make sense as a flow? Like, will the stories connect just by themselves? And that was really mind-opening for me, right? That remove the titles, just merge the essays together in the order. Will it make sense and we're going to get into flow and storytelling later on.
Yeah.
If we put all of your essays together, it should be a maximum of 2,000 words. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. Yes, 500 words by 4 essays, I mean.
Yeah, 500 words by 4 essays gives you 2,000 words. Now, the challenge is, we're going to talk about word count later on. Some people can conveniently write their first essay as 2,000 words.
Wow.
And we're going to talk, because they have a lot going on, we'll talk about that. How do you refine things to this 500 words? Because today it's all about essays, like I've said. Let's keep going. Let's now look at the essence of the essays. Now, in my experience, I have learned to not just understand the question, but to understand why are they asking me the question. Right?
Yeah.
So the first essay is about leadership and influence. What is your experience with this essay number 1? What do you think Chevening wants to really know about your leadership and influence?
Okay, so what Chevening is actually looking for, when they say they are looking to develop global leaders, and when you look at what it means to be a leader, it means someone who is able to design solutions for a problem. And
Correct.
That's why it's very important as a leader. If you are in a community, what kind of solutions are you bringing in the community? Because in communities, we have a lot of problems. From having, like myself, from solving a problem of a scourge of plastic waste, as well as poverty in marginalized communities in Zambia, to having leaders solving problems of, for example, illiteracy, period poverty, all those are problems that need solutions. And that's why it's very important that in your leadership essay, you highlight that you have problem solving skills. You show the traction of what you have actually done, and also the your value that you bring to this scholarship, because you're going to meet leaders from different parts of the world, and it's going to demonstrate how you are going to lead after you leave as a Chevening scholar.
Wow. So I see that if somebody is the type who only complains about the problem, they are going to struggle with their essay number one,
Hmm.
because you have just mentioned problem solving and taking initiative. We know is like Chivnin is saying, we know the problem is there, but what have you done? Which of the problems have you tried to fix? And one key word I hear from a lot of sessions we've had is they're looking for leadership beyond formal authority, which means you are not employed to do this thing, or you are not really voted to solve the problem. You have literally put yourself forward, right? Do you need to show your influence with your essay number one?
Yes, that's cardinal. That's very important to really show your traction as a leader or a problem solver. To just show that you have been able to influence change in your community, and you have the capacity to lead actually. So when I was writing my leadership essay, I had to make sure that I draft or put in there the evidence to show how many people are impacted. For example, we've impacted 200 waste speakers. We have taken, for example, X amount of plastic waste from the environment. So that is very important to show where you are coming from, so that you will be able to show that you are an influential leader, and also a dedicated leader that has done X amount of work in their community.
Great. Let's move quick. Essay number two is about relationship building and shared learning. Chevening wants to make sure that you have relationships, right? That you didn't just pop out of nowhere, and that the relationships you come out of are of reciprocal value. That is, you offer something back to the mentor or to the institutions that have grown you over the years. They also want to learn how you make strategic partnerships, right? Because you cannot solve all the problems alone. This is very connected to essay number one.
Yeah.
So, in your leadership, how have you built a network of helpers? So, what would you like to say about the core essence of this essay number two?
So for the essay number two, we were calling it the networking essay, or which is like the relationship building and shared learning, but mostly it's just to access if you are able to build networks, because I strongly believe that relationship are core to a leader's development, especially for young leaders like ourselves. For a leader to impact change, you need to have solid networks, and you need to learn to work with other people. And that's a great aspect that I have used in my own work as a leader. And I did very well on this AC. I believe I was connecting dots, because I shared an experience of how I had a network from the Mandela Washington Fellowship, who is still part of my network. That is Passy. We met in Washington, D.C., just at the airport. And we had to talk because we are going to different institutions. And from there, we discovered that we shared the same interests. We were both running waste recycling facilities just right across from each other. She was on the other side of the DRC. I was on the other side of the border of Zambia. And we didn't know each other, and we were solving the same problem. And up to date, we've done many great projects together. We won grants from the US Embassy Kinshasa, and it's been those are the key elements of as a leader, to make sure that you are able to create shared learning, you are reciprocal value, and knowledge exchange and innovation that makes you and also develops you further.
This is really good. Really good stuff. Let's go to essay number 3. This is the part that a lot of applicants focus on. I just want to study in the UK. So for some reason, Chevening didn't make it essay number 1. They made it number 3, right? Just to tell you that it's important, but calm down. Calm down first. We need you to prove that you're a leader. We need you to prove that you can build networks. Now tell us how you plan to do your studying in the UK. There's a lot of details about this. How did you approach your essay number 3?
It's very true that you have to really think critically about the school that you want to go to that aligns with your academic projections. So I had 3 options to study in the UK, and I had to look because I am doing a course in sustainability, and I know that the UK is the place where they is huge in sustainability. And I had also, because I was mixing sustainability with development, and that's why I chose the University of Sussex, because it's the number one in development studies in the world. So I also checked the published articles or journals that are related to what I really wanted to do in my career. And also I looked at the modules, I looked at the professors, I also looked at the city that Sussex was in. So all of those things came together to inform my decision. But the most important thing that I looked at was how is it relevant to my future career projection, and how am I going to use this knowledge being an innovator, as well as my research directions. So that really played a huge role in choosing the University of Sussex, and it has come true that I'm the next big thing.
Super excited, to be honest. So I think that one of the things they're looking at is your choice of school, also your
Mhm,
choice of course, right? The course you're choosing in the school where you're choosing it should feel smooth in terms
mhm.
of where you are coming from, right? You cannot be doing plastic for change back at home and you are choosing a course in aeronautics or something like that.
Mhm,
Do you understand? So you need to be able to build a little bit of connectivity
mhm.
between what you've studied so far, where you are, or what you're working on, and the courses you've chosen. Correct?
Correct.
Great. So let's move on because we have not even got into the deep dive. This is all scratching the surface. So
Yeah.
stay with us. Stay with us. We're going to get into the deep dive. This is the 4th essay. The essay talks about career plan. Of course, Chevening is 1 year, even though it looks like a long year, is soon going to be behind you. For you, it's a couple of days left
Yeah.
of being, but you'll be a Chevening scholar for life. It's just the study part
Yeah.
that finishes when you graduate, and we can't wait.
Yeah.
After the graduation, then your career should get like an uplift. It should rocket you into like a next level of your growth. You cannot return to the same level where you are because you have been stretched now, right? How
Yeah.
important in understanding that, how important is your essay number 4?
I think essay number 4 is the heart of all the essays, I should say. I think
Mm.
it's then brings everything together. It tells the readers or examiners your why. And it's very important, and it should be taken, and it should taken with much seriousness. I'm not saying that the 3 essays are not should not be taken with much seriousness, but all I'm saying is that this then will show your why, and it is then you have to be clear of where you're going, because if you mess up with this essay, then everything else is not going to pan out right. Why do I say that? Because Chevening is investing a lot of money into developing you as a leader and also your career. So now you need to show them, is your career plan in alignment with what they are investing in? That's the key point. So that's why you need to be clear of where you're going, and do you align with what they are working with, or do you align with, because they have development areas which they are funding or investing in different countries, and that's why you should really pay attention, study what are the some of the development projects that are going on that the UK government is working on in your country, and that's what you should bring in the career plan. A good career plan AC does not say I'm going to study my PhD in my first when I return back home. No, it is measurable. You have to set smart goals. For example, if I return back to Zambia after studying at the University of Sussex, definitely I'm going back to Plastic for Change and implement the things that I have learned from the University of Sussex and all the networks I've developed further. So you need
Wow.
to really align your goals with Chevening.
This is really good. This is really good value. So you've really covered most of the highlights, which is showcasing future leadership, right? Because that's how you prove that it's worth the investment. The investment, it is you we should be investing in because you're a leader who's going to return. I like the word, you want to return because of what value is it if you don't return? We've picked you from that place. The goal is to grow you so that you can go back and do more, do better,
Mm.
expose you to, global standards. And of course, help you achieve that goal of being a high potential individual. Thank you very much. Now we have covered the essence of the essays. This is us clarifying the reasons behind each of the essays. Let's jump into the deep dive. Are you ready, Gladys?
I'm ready.
All
Ready to
right,
go.
let's shoot. In the deep dive, we're going to cover a couple of questions. This is my most important question, which is you've been through the scholarship. It's been a long, long time coming. Now, I want you to flash back a little bit
Mhm.
to your application period, when you got the announcement of your selection, the preparation phase, saying goodbye to family and friends, coming to the UK and realizing, oh, our weather is shit. Sorry, I'm not supposed to use a bad word. But of course, our weather is nothing to write home about. And then now enjoying the university experience, even having extra opportunities that you possibly didn't see those
Mm.
before coming along. What has been I know you have a lot of exciting moments. Which one has been the most exciting from your experience of the program?
Um, Really, MD, the Chevening experience has been, as you can see, has been exciting for me. I can't even pinpoint a moment to say this one was the best experience because everything has been 10 over 10. I've loved every experience, but I think the pivotal moment was when I could relate to the modules that I was learning. I learned about all the experiences that I had at working at the border with the West speakers. I didn't know what I was doing, and then the lecturer told me about the words. She mentioned about the political economy of plastic waste, and I was like, whoa. So this is why there's a lot of marginalization. I didn't know all of that. It opened up my mind even up to now, and I know, like, okay, now I feel educated. Now I understand why we have certain problems going on. I think that was a defining moment because once you know, I was opened up, my eyes were open, everything changed, and I came to realize that this is the reason why I came to the UK, and you know, that's the reason why I had to do this master's degree, and that was like really the best experience. And also, I wouldn't also forget about winning the Sussex top prizes for the year. It's that, like, first time in history to have one person, myself, to win three top awards in the university. It was also exciting. I had to represent the University of Sussex at the University of California, Berkeley. And when I
Wow.
went to the United States, I came second again. So it's been an exciting journey for myself, and I can't really, really uh, believe, or I can't really point and look and say I don't know. I'm mostly speechless. It's been life changing, really.
A roller coaster of excitement, isn't it? Super
Exactly.
grateful for your experience. Like you saw the opportunity, gave it your best, and from the get go, you're pouring it on because you're made of a lot of quality, right? And now that you've got like the platform, you're using it the best way. This is really good, and I'm grateful to be sharing. You know, time with you and also passing that motivation forward and clarity as well. Let's now come to the Chevening application a little bit again. When you started your application, there's a number of sections and segments and things to fill. It can be really daunting. It feels like a minefield. What aspect of the application did you find most difficult? Just based on when you were going through the application.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. The essay writing part was difficult for me because I wasn't just sure how do I structure my essays. Is it going to be clear? Am I going to be, use or am I going to write it in a way that is, appealing to the reader? I was so worried about so many things when drafting my essays, and that is why I went to dive deeper to do my research on how to write a winning application. And I think I gained so many skills, and that's why I wrote the winning application. That's why I'm here today.
Yeah. How many times did you try?
To apply,
Yep.
I had actually cancelled the first application I tried. I think in 2000. I can't remember when was that. I actually withdrew the application. So when I tried, this one was that I should just say my first attempt on my Chevening application. It
Okay.
was
So
the
the
first one.
first one,
I didn't know
you
what I
didn't
was doing.
submit.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So you find the essays a little bit daunting. The rest you could manage, but the essays where you had to take extra time to get it right,
Mhm.
and finally, eventually you did. So let's begin to look at the things you did and how you went about. So your essay process, um, what is the process that you recommend? So somebody's watching us now, they're starting from scratch.
Mhm.
What's the process? Do they get a paper and pen? Do you jump on the computer straight? Um, the boxes are on the website. Do you fill it right there or do you take the questions out? How many rounds of reading and reading and reading is enough? So tell us about the process from your experience.
Of course, if sometimes we fear what we don't know because we just don't know. But what I've come to learn over the years, or just through my Chevening experience, and also coming to Sussex because we write a whole lot of essays. That's just the beginning. I should warn you. So, when you have seen, when you have opened your application and you've seen the essay, you have to read the question that they are asking you and understand that question carefully. And then, when you have understood the question, you have to plan because you will not just dive in. You need to plan, and that's where the outline comes in. How are you going to draft this essay? You're not just going to jump in and write. No, 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 no. You need to plan, and an outline or a framework is then going to inform you or help you to tackle. For example, you're going to start with your introduction paragraph. You're going to go to your main body. You're going to go to your concluding paragraph. Have a form of a framework, and that is the advice I would give you. And when it comes to chevening aces, you need to use the star approach. What do I mean by the star approach? Which is the situation, the task, and also the action you took, as well as the results that came, that the result that came to the problem that you solved at that. So mainly, I don't like to like just give you all these frameworks. What I did in my essays was, first and foremost, I was writing the punchlines. I started with punchlines in the first sentence to just keep the reader, more, interested to read on and read on. But I was also following a framework to say I need to explain the situation. I need to explain the task. What did I do in this situation, and what action did I take, and what was the result? So, for example, in my first sentence, I said something like, my ability to recognize community problems, mobilize people, and drive change defines me as a self-motivated leader. Right? So that was my punchline. And I put in 2019, I showcased my mobilization and innovation skills by transitioning from a role as a Mandarin Chinese translator, establishing a social enterprise named Plastic for Change. So, do you see that I have touched on something that is going to, uh, you know, uh, you know, interest the reader? So I've said I transitioned from being a Chinese interpreter, right? And then, starting a business, a plastic recycling business. So they're going to dig in deeper. How did this Chinese translator now become a plastic recycler? So they will read more. So those are the kind of punchlines that you should bring in, and you should be very specific. I said in 2019. So also the years are very important to show your growth. So you cannot start in 2025. No, 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 no. You need to write in order, chronological order, so that it will show from the way you began up until your progress is going. So that was my introduction paragraph. So when I went to my body, I said, my impact has grown. I managed multiple community recycling projects on weekends, which raised awareness about the harmful effects of plastic waste and educated people on the importance of responsible waste management practices. Right? So then I went to, as a leader, I went to, how do I solve a problem, right? As a leader, I faced a challenge during the COVID-19 lockdown. So what did I do? Movement restrictions were hindered, waste collection from public spaces. So I shifted my strategy and engaged community leaders to enable residential collection. So then I remember in 2020 there was COVID. So uh, plastic collection was halted. So we were not allowed to go and pick up plastic. So that meant that our business was going down and we had to stop, collecting plastic. So what did I do? So that also highlights a way as a leader and how I'm going to solve my problems. So I also defined this challenge that I encountered in a star approach manner. I started with, how was the situation? What did I do? I went to the community leaders to negotiate on how we can work together. And then what action did I take? I went to the municipal council to ask them if we can hire out their truck so that we can have residential collection. And what was the result? I also highlighted the results. And the most important also I want to tell you is that every essay, your closing paragraph or your ending paragraph should also end with a punchline. You should end very strong. So I said in my ending essay is that in 2023, out of 1,500 applicants, I was among the top 5 awarded a grant by the UK Aid, Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. This grant accelerated our work and created nearly 20 green jobs, aligning with the UK government's priority to combat climate change and alleviate poverty in Zambia's marginalized communities. In short, or in summary, my leadership roles have demonstrated my ability to lead and influence change in my home country. Without a doubt, the Chevening Award will enhance my leadership journey.
Great.
Closed.
Well done. So I picked the punchline parts. Punchlines typically like true statements that makes the reader sit up, to want to read more, to want to pay attention. Now, were you doing this on a paper and pen, or did you start with using a computer? Which of the platforms did you use?
It's people are different. So I discover, like myself, I'm a visual learner. So I actually just work with a lot of pen and writing. I don't like a lot of technology or typing. So I started writing, and I was using a pen, a piece of paper and a pen, because I was really invested in my application. I didn't want to leave room for any errors, so I was writing it down to make sure
Interesting.
that it's really on point and we have the punchlines ready.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So you were going from one punchline to the other, but I noticed that even though you're dropping the punchlines, they are connected, right? Your
Yeah.
story is connected, which goes back to your original point of having an outline. How do you want to start, proceed, progress, and conclude? Do you come back? Because I used to tell people, I mean, filmmaking, I went to film school, just for the record.
Mm.
One of the things I learned is that a great story always ends where it starts,
Yes.
right? It always comes full circle. It comes back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you want to know what happened, what eventually led to what, to come back to that point. So what you've said now is that your punchlines do connect. When you
Exactly.
finished your essay number one with that grant, all right, that UK aid grant, it was not a grant for a fashion parade, which will
Mm-hmm.
make the reader be like, come on, we started with plastic and sustainability. Now you're telling us, even though you have a grant, which is a good
Mm-hmm.
progress, if the grant is not connected to the original story that you're telling, you may not be able to include it. But we're going to come down to that essay again. We're going to go into essay number one properly. Um, it tells us that using the paper and pen, you were doing most of this offline initially, correct?
Correct.
So you were doing a lot of offline writing, rewriting before you were now ready to put it into the website.
Exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you a lot of freedom because then you could be at the birthday party, the noise is too much. If you're like me, just step outside and just start writing stuff. Because paper and
Yeah.
pen, you can't go wrong. Correct?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. But if you want to do it entirely on the website, you can be a little bit limited
Mm-hmm.
because you need to be on a computer and.
That's true.
Okay. How many rounds of rereading do you think you did? Like reading, rereading it again, all of that.
I can't remember, but I did a lot of refining, and that I really do not regret. I did a lot of rounds of rereading, just scribbling out things that were not, making sense, just reading it out loud to my friends, to other people, to ask as many people, how does it sound? I just wanted to be as authentic as I could be. And really, I think I did change like 10 times. I don't know, I can't remember, but I really worked on that essay many many times. And honestly, I would advise you to do the same, so that you do not really regret, because it also teaches you something about yourself. you know um really, just prepare as much as you can. It really changed me, and I've become an I think I picked on the skills of essay writing from that exercise. So you are not
Wow.
walking away empty handed. You walk away with skills no matter what.
So
Yeah.
even just for trying to apply, you walk away with
Yes.
skills. Yeah,
Hmm.
I totally agree. Storytelling is very important. You already helped us with like the star approach. Um, and I know tailoring is also very important. Tailoring means, we are made of stories,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
An
Hmm.
individual can have 100 stories that make up their life.
Hmm.
Some will be
Yes.
touching, some would not be very touching, some are ordinary stories, you know.
Hmm.
What's the golden rule for chevening essay writing, in your opinion, in terms of do these one, two, three things with your story?
I think storytelling in writing is actually the winning, should I say, the winning recipe or the winning theme that actually engages the reader. It just keeps the reader, motivated to go on and on, mostly in writing. So I would encourage everyone to just learn what storytelling is. I did that mostly in my essays. I was just telling stories and stories in all my essays. But it's very, very important because it then touches to the human part. It just tells the reader that you are reading a story of someone who is human. Like, it just brings out that authenticity out. So, and it's actually easier to tell a story than to just be writing, I was a manager but X company, we raised this and this. Is boring. But I would advise you to approach it in a storytelling way. Like I said, I would read out my networking essay to show you one short story, right? Is that okay?
Yeah, shoot. Go for it.
Okay. So on my networking essay, I tell this story. It's a very nice story that I can't even believe how I connected the dots. But um, as I was writing my essays, I was actually, even the stories that you're telling should connect. It's like one line from the leadership to the network up to the very end. I'm not moving from one end to the other. I'm just moving with one straight or one string, right? Pulling it from the top to down. So now I connect this story to my networking essay, and I wrote that networking can be a game changer in both personal and professional development. Over the years, I have utilized formal and informal networks to develop networking skills through my networks. I created impact and forged mutual partnerships. So, through networks, I developed a strong partnership with the founder of a waste management startup from the Congo DRC. We met at Newark International Airport when we both won the Mandela Washington in 2022. We connected over our shared interest in waste management, and I shared my experience working with Plastic for Change and collaborating with Congolese waste speakers over the years. Even after the
Mm.
program ended, we connected through video calls and text messages. After completing the leadership program, he visited my plastic waste collection center in Kasumbalesa, and we signed a partnership agreement to work together. I aimed to address the language barrier and the marginalization of women waste speakers who had to walk long distances to sell recyclables to us.
Great.
So that's the storytelling there, and it took two paragraphs. I did not need to tell three, four more stories, no, but I just told my story the way it was, just like that, as simple as that.
Great. So I picked the one string. You mentioned one string. One of the things you come across with young people today is when you ask them to introduce themselves or you ask somebody, what do you do? You hear something like, I'm into many things, right? I'm multi talented. That could be a problem, right? Because if you are into many things that are not connected, it makes it difficult to tell a straightforward story without confusing the person that is reading. So,
Mhm.
Gladys has just shared her experience now. You are still sharing sustainability growth stories. You have not left the subject matter. It's the same subject matter. You're using the
Mhm.
networking essay to empower the first essay that you have already written. So
Yeah.
everything is connected to everything else. This is very, very good.
Mhm.
Still on storytelling, you have already mentioned a few styles. I hear outline. Do not write without an outline, which is like a direction of writing. I hear framework. Do not write without a framework. What are you trying to do? A mentor taught me the then, now, how approach.
Mhm.
Then, now, how. What was the problem then? What's the situation now? how have you changed,
Mhm.
in between those two processes? You have already touched on the STAR approach, so we won't go back to it.
Mhm.
Um, People now add L, which is apart from the situation, task, action, results, what lessons did you learn
Yes.
from even the scenario? So it's been upgraded to like the STAR L approach, which is really
Mhm.
good. You've already mentioned a number of methodologies to follow, right? Which also is the punchline methodology. So I think you have already done very well in answering questions 4A and 4B. So I'll let you
Mhm.
take a breather. Our third question on the storytelling aspect is we hear a lot of show, don't tell. How do you show your story, right? When they say give us clear examples, does it mean you have to mention names, name of the place, date and time? How can you show your story instead of telling it?
Yes, so when it comes to Chevening, that's why I said that, clarity is very important. You have to understand what you are writing. And when they say show, don't tell, exactly that. You need to say the places. So, for example, if you are able to work with schools in Maiduguri, Nigeria, you need to mention that in 2019, I was, working with schools in Maiduguri, right? In Nigeria. So Nigeria should be there, Maiduguri should be there when in 2019. How many people did I work? I worked with 20, I worked with 20 school going girls in 2019 when I was, maybe you were a volunteer in Maiduguri or in Edo State, I do not know, or in Kenya, but you need to be specific. That's why this is your story. There's a lot of copy and paste everywhere going on. There's also AI going on. So, how do you stand out as an applicant? Bring it to life. Every, winning essay has got, specific, and it is clear to the T. When I say clear to the T, it is precise. You need to bring and hit with precision. You need to talk about the years exactly. You need to put the years. If it's the month, maybe if you want, you can say in March 2018, I was able to do ABCD with my workers in my degree. How many people? We were 20. What did we do? We went to the school or this secondary school and we did this and this. Hit with precision. Name, be precise, show everything that you need to show. Don't leave out anything to chance. That is
Great.
my advice.
So it's like when the reader goes through your essay or stories, they should be able to literally see it, like they're watching it in a film. Like they should be
Mhm.
able to see it. And this level of details, for example, in your networking essay, I recall you actually mentioned the names of the individuals that you had the MOU with.
Yes.
You mentioned the name of the airport where you met.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when you started to read that, I was like, okay, I saw the airport, I saw the two of you
Mhm.
meeting, and then I
Yes.
saw the trip and the visit and the MOU. I can fill in the pictures myself because you were kind of showing the story and not
Yeah.
just telling it. So this is really good for applicants to remember. Let's now
Yeah.
go into the essays themselves. We're going to spend say a couple of minutes on each of the essays. And
Mm.
for the records, these are the actual Chevening essays, except something changes in 2025.
Yeah.
But it almost doesn't change, right? It
Yeah.
almost never changes, which I don't know in your experience. Does that make it easier? The fact that you already know the questions in advance, or does it make it more difficult?
Um, I think it should be easier when you know that, I think when you know the expectations, it becomes easier. It's just, I think the lack of preparation makes us not know what we are doing. But then when you know that the questions are the same, they're always about leadership, networking, studying in the UK, and also, bring out your career plans. I think to anyone who plans ahead, that should be easier for them. But that doesn't make it, that doesn't take away the challenges that it poses. But otherwise, I think if the earlier the better.
All right. So now that you know this is the essay, let me read it quickly, and then you can focus on some of the keywords that I've highlighted.
Okay.
If I didn't highlight anything that you think, oh, that's also part of the very important things, because they are like the root of the question, right? The question hides away what Chibney is trying to confirm. So the first essay says Chibney is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers. Future leaders highlighted, influencers highlighted in their home countries. Home
Mhm.
countries, these are my highlights. All right.
Okay.
If I was approaching this essay number one, I'm going to be thinking, how do I prove that I'm a future leader? How do I prove that I'm an influencer? How do I prove that I'm connected to my home country? This is the exact word in the questions. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. Tell us a bit about each of these keywords and we can move to the next essay.
Okay, so when you look at the first question of the leadership question, that is the leadership essay question, that Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. So, how will I approach this essay question? I will first look at the key words, that is, future leaders, influencers, and home countries. So, what Chevening is trying to ask you here, when they say future leaders, is that what exactly are you doing in your home country? That is going to give us, the evidence to say you have the potential of being a future leader. And that goes us to the stories that you're going to tell. What exactly, have you done in your community? Even if you did a project, for example, for others who are not run, like myself, I'm a social entrepreneur. Others will be working in an NGO, for example, and they worked on a project together with their teammates. But when it comes to a Chevening scholarship or application, sorry, please do not say, we did this. No, 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 no. This is the time now to show what you did as a leader. So in this application, it's very okay to say, I did this, even if you did it with a group or with your teammates. So that really, we are talking about you as a future leader and as an influencer and what you brought on that project, right? And when you say home countries, these are the projects that you did in your home country. You're not going to say, I did this in the US, I did this in the UK. That does not qualify, if I'm not mistaken. If you're from Africa or if I'm from Zambia, definitely I should show the impacts that I have made in my community, Zambia, or in my home country. That's how I understand this question. And explain meet this requirement.
Correct.
Please use clear examples. Like the example I used about myself, working with West speakers in Zambia. They should be clear, when did I do this? How many people? What did I do? And also talk about my own leadership skills and what I learned from that.
Yeah. So the initiatives you took, you're not trying to say the government did X, the government did Y. Of course, you can use that as like a reason for your own action. If you want to talk about the bad policies of government and then follow it up with your own response to that policy, but you cannot be reporting other people's progress. It's your own initiative that you took, even if you don't own the organization, right? You can still attribute. We'll talk about attribution in a couple of moments. Thank you for that. This is the second essay. Let me read and then you just speak on the keywords. The second essay is the one about networking. Chevening is looking for individuals with strong professional relationship building skills who will engage with the Chevening community, underlined, and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. Please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity. I like the distinguishing of a professional capacity, right? Using clear examples of how you currently do this and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future.
Okay, great. I earlier on said I enjoyed writing this essay. It's a we call it the networking essay, but as well as it's relationship building essay, or shared learning for short. So the way I will tackle is very easy. You need to look at the keywords. Very important. When you look at the question, you need to look at those keywords are the ones you can even bring out of that question and paste it in your answer. So I should see, or I should expect your answer to have strong professional relationship building skills to appear in your response, as well as Chevening community should appear, chosen profession. You should, answer each and every part of the question. That's why you need to be very careful to dissect it and carefully look at every part of the question. Make sure that it is sought. So when they say strong professional relationship building skills, what they want is that how are you going to build professional skills when you come to the UK? Because the Chevening Scholarship is all about networking, right? You'll attend so many networking events, and you also meet scholars from all over, or from all parts of the world. So how do you build, professional relationships? It's not just about, okay, you're going to meet this woman and you're going to maybe have a dancing group, or no. You need to make sure that you have a plan, or maybe you have a plan for future projects together, to show that they will have a ripple effect for what you're doing back home, or just shared knowledge with the Cheveners that you're going to meet, or other professionals you're going to meet in the UK. And how do you
Great.
build and maintain relationship in a professional capacity? So how do you maintain relationships? Do you still build through LinkedIn? Do you still send out emails? That also comes into play. So that's why you must be very clear. I had written earlier on to say that I maintained my relationship with through messages and video calls. So we would call each other on WhatsApp calls, and also we were also texting each other on Facebook and emails. So that is one way I maintain my relationship, my professional relationships.
Great. And I think one of those ways to actually maintain your relationships is to show how you offer
Yes,
reciprocal value.
exactly.
So, a sort of give and take type of relationship, not just that, oh, this person is my mentor, they are my oga, but you are not
Yes,
giving
it's
anything
a
back to the
two-way thing.
oga. You're just
Mhm.
taking and taking. Yeah, you have to show the two way. And part of showing two ways is that you don't just reference random people who you are not able to contribute
Mhm.
to based on your story, right? If you are into sustainability, the people that you mention in your network should be people that your skill set can be
Mhm.
useful for, right? That is how we know, okay. If you're a sustainable person and, oh, this person is also into sustainability in their own country, perfect. Because then you can share notes, you can show them experiences, you can share, a framework that you use
Yeah.
in Zambia with the person in
Mhm.
Congo, right? If you are into, whatever you are into, the network also
Yeah.
should matter. It shouldn't be completely divergent without us knowing how do you connect to the
Mhm.
person. It's easy to know how they connect to you because you want to
Yeah.
make friends, but how do
Mhm.
you fit into them with what you already have? So it's a networking question, but it needs to also be connected to the core of the story that you are telling from essay number one. Essay number three. This is the essay about your studying in the UK. They want to know why you have chosen the schools you have chosen and why you have chosen the courses. Let me read, and Gladys will tell us something about the keywords and the approach. Outline why you have selected your chosen 3 university courses and explain how this relates to your previous academic or professional experience and your plans for the future. Please enter new information and examples here and do not duplicate. There's a reason why they mentioned this one. Do not duplicate the information you have entered on the work experience and education section of this form. Over to you,
Yes,
Gladys.
MD. So the principle is the same across the board. We have to start at looking at the keywords, right? Outline your why. You have selected your chosen 3 university courses. So here, Chevening is even generous to give you, choices, to have 3 choices from 3 different universities, or you can have 3 choices from the same university. So what I did was I had 3 different choices from 3 different universities, and I had to do a bit of a background check on each and every university that I had to choose. So that's very important because it aligns with what I'm doing. I'm doing plastic recycling and I'm working with marginalized communities and I want to fight poverty. So those were my themes. So what should I do? I should look for, I chose environment, development, and policy that aligns with my future goals of having to influence policies in my country that relates to plastic waste. So you're not going to say you are studying computer science and going to say you're going to study, for example, I mean you are working in education, and then you're going to say you're going to study computer science. How are you going to defend that? Your leadership said you did much of your volunteer work or you did innovation in, for example, period poverty or poverty reduction, but you're going to just flip around and say, I'm going to study geography. It's not going to pan out well because everything has to align. And I mentioned earlier, you need to move, the s's have to move in a straight line. So you're pulling the string from the leadership, then I pull it to the networking, then I pull it to the study in the UK. Everything has to tie back to what I'm doing. So we just don't want to move around, and that's the reason why most people are rejected, because they don't maintain the same themes. So what I would encourage you is to stay on track. If you are working in poverty reduction, please, you need to choose a course that aligns with you, even if you didn't study that at your undergraduate. So let me give you an example of myself. I have work experience in plastic recycling and poverty reduction, right? But I didn't do that during my undergraduate. I studied something totally different. I did international trade and a minor in Chinese language. So that is totally different to environment, development, and policy. But I was able to defend that answer, to defend myself, to say the reason why I'm switching from international trade to environment development and policy is because I have been working in plastic recycling and I've seen the gap, and I do not have the knowledge, and I want to contribute to the knowledge and understand the work that I'm working on, because my future goal is actually to influence policy toward plastic recycling, and that's what I'm doing now. And that's why they accept it, because that's what I'm doing now, and this is the reason why I switched from my undergraduate. So that's a totally different ball game. If you are working in computer science or you're working in education and you're going to say I'm going to study geography or I want to study MBA, I don't think it's going to turn out right. So the shortest answer I would say is that what you're working on now, the project you have put in your leadership essay, should then marry to the course that you have chosen.
Great. So, because the course that you have chosen, if you get selected for the course, you get an admission. It's going to fill the gap between where you're coming from, your experience, and where you are headed. So, Chivning doesn't want to sponsor you on a course that's going to throw you off
Yes.
balance,
Mhm.
right? So, you're already, like you mentioned, a number of examples. You're already going like this. Then you choose a course that's going to take you away from the goal. It's difficult then to connect to
Mhm.
the future. So you want to look at it from the keywords of your previous experience, where you're coming from, whether you are strong in the academic. If you're coming from an academic point of view, which means you studied the course that you love or the course that you're still doing, then you want to build on that. If the academic was just okay, but you have done something better with your work experience, then you should narrow in on that your work professional experience,
Yeah.
right? And then choose courses that amplify your most recent achievements, you know, such that when you are done, it's easy for you to just continue from
Exactly.
there, or on a higher scale. And maybe because people just copy and paste whatever is in the essay number one, because now they're tired. This is essay number three. Chevening specifically says, do not duplicate, don't copy and paste whatever you have in your first two essays. So you also want to check before you proceed that what you have written here is a little bit unique, right? And you can do it by focusing on the course content, the course modules, who's teaching the course, why is the course interesting to you, what excites you about the course. And I think you have mentioned now that the courses and the modules are part of the most exciting things during the scholarship program,
Correct.
correct?
And also you can, you just don't really need to focus on the academic part, but you can also say, for example, I said Sussex is near the beach. I love to, walk by I want to study by the sea. So I mentioned that, and also mentioned that, Sussex has got accommodation that is on campus. So I also highlighted that I wanted to stay on campus so that it's convenient for me to go to the library and also access all these other amenities around the university.
Wow, that's really good. So knowing the schools a little bit, engaging with maybe alumni, who can give you a bit of clearer picture of the schools you have chosen would be really, really good. Let's go really fast now. The fourth and the last essay. Now we're almost done. The rest of the questions are much more just general application questions. Essay number 4, career plan. This is a text I'm going to read. Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan. Please outline your immediate plans upon returning home and your long-term career goals. You may wish to consider how this relates to what the UK government is doing in your country. And I know from English learning that when I see you may wish, they're actually telling you to actually do it. So what's your take with this last essay, Gladys?
Yes. So this one is, you know what they say, that you should end on a high note, right? So if there is any essay that you should really pay attention to and really now gather your strength and put in your best, is this one here. I'm not saying the rest of them are not important. Please do not misquote me. What I'm saying is that please end on a high note. This is the essay now that is of clarity. This is your why, and this is more like, it's like a business proposal. You are now like pitching for why they should choose you. You are pitching for your idea, why your idea should be funded. I should say so. I'm coming from the business world, but this is this is your pitching time. And this is why this essay has to be taken with so much precision. When you start with this essay, you need to even read that book, Start with Why. You know, you need to go, when you start with your first paragraph, most important is that you have been educated, right? You have researched the modules that you needed to take. So, for example, you can say that having studied poverty, the global economy module at the University of Sussex, I will return back to Zambia and implement or partner with the local municipal council to start now designing policies to influence the plastic waste management and also integrate the waste pickers in Zambia. So I have that. That is like in my my short-term goal. Short-term goal means I think it's 1 year to 3 years. I'm not sure. I've forgotten. But this is just your immediate goal. Immediately, I have graduated from Sussex. I have studied, for example, this module, and I was so specific when I was writing. I said, after I've gained skills from the poverty and global economy module from the University of Sussex, I plan to return back to Zambia immediately to the Plastic for Change and partner with the local authorities that are managing plastic waste and start influencing policies towards this and this, you know. And then I went in to the second, and that's the short term goal. So there should be like three. That is the immediate goal. Immediately you return back home, and then there should be short term goal, which is like 3 years to 5 years, I should say. Yeah,
Long
they should
term, yeah.
midterm. So
Midterm and the
there's
long term,
immediate,
yeah.
midterm, and long term goal. So when you go to your midterm goal,
Correct.
that is now you have been in the country for 3 years after you graduated from the UK. Now you can have that, it should be measurable. You should say maybe in 5 years, I plan to open, 5 more plastic recycling centers in Zambia in 5 slum communities. I name them Lusaka, Chingola, this and this. I should name them. I should be sure of what I'm going to do, right? And then I'm going to go on to my long term goal. So, in my long term goal, I've noticed that the UK is actually running. I named it, there was a climate growth project that the UK was funding that is helping West speakers be integrated in policy. There was also there was like 3 different projects, and also one of them was the one that I had won the fund. Remember, in my leadership essay, I said I won a grant from the UK. So under that grant that I got, that was one of the priority areas that the UK was working on in Zambia. So I brought it in my career goal to say that as a recipient, as a beneficiary of the UK government's development project, I believe that I can partner with the UK to then identify marginalized women like myself who can then spearhead and work on the UK's development areas, and also help identify beneficiaries like myself who are spaced all over the country in Zambia. So those are the things that I talked about, and I also mentioned that I also want to join politics. That's in the long term goal. That also, if I have that platform, I'll be able to influence policies now at the parliamentary level and at the country level, at a higher level. So I was able to tie back to what I had written in my first essay, and I bring it back to convince them to say, I already know of what you're doing. I've been a beneficiary, and now I want to partner with the UK government to make sure that we implement the development goals that you are doing in Zambia. So I was able to mention all of those by name because I had worked closely with them. So yes, I encourage you to.
That's good. That's really, really good. I'm thinking there's somebody watching us now who is saying, well, my area of impact, I don't think the UK has any major thing going on there. And I think the answer would be you have not checked enough. If they are not directly sponsoring the highlights of your projects, they'll be sponsoring or funding or working in something in that sector, right? And maybe let's say you are now into something completely out of scope. It could be your chance to call their attention to it that you have exhausted, because if you speak with people at the British High Commission or the British Embassy in your country, depending on where you are, they will be able to point you in the direction of, oh, you are into X. We have so going on, right? And if they don't have anything at all, you'll be able to tell. And that's your chance to then say you would love to pioneer, the UK government's investments in this area of XYZ. So do not feel left out, and you don't necessarily have to be in the sustainability world, because now somebody will be like, oh, I'm not in sustainability. I will have just copied and pasted everything Gladys is saying. Even if you're in sustainability, your story is unique, right? Gladys is only sharing the experience of how she's told our own story. Authenticity is the key thing here. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes when we wrap up. What limits? This is a beautiful African woman who is tired because she has stories to tell. But Chevening is only allowing her 500 words. how do you fit? Because think about it. Think about how old you are, all of the places you use. You are a Chinese translator. You've now won many, many awards. You have a family. You have traveled a number of countries. How do you fit this thing in 500 words? I don't know. A number of people will struggle. Um, what are the things you can share with applicants who are struggling with number of words? Because I've heard that back to say, MD, I have more to say, or I wanted to include it, but there's no chance. Like there's no chance, there's no space anymore. I've already said these things. Why? How do you actually get
Yeah.
over or beat the barrier of word limits?
So I think I learned this strategy from you when we were doing the Mandela Washington Fellowship coaching. If you remember very well, you told me, there's just when you put way too many, like I've won this, it just becomes too much. You need to be precise and, just hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter, but if you can choose three strong examples of your impact, I think that is enough. You don't need to stress yourself to put 500 stories or 500 20 examples of impact. You can use four or five. If you've noticed, I've just stuck to just giving examples in what I've done in the plastic recycling industry. It's not like I haven't had many victories in other aspects of my life, but I have maintained that because I did not want to confuse the reader. I wanted to be memorable, if you know what I mean. I wanted the reader to just know me as a sustainability champion, as someone who I didn't sway them from different angles. As like I would talk about, education. I did this in computer science. No, 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 no. I stuck to those examples that were within my theme, were within my, what my field, my professional field, so that I just don't, I didn't even want to overload myself with so many words. I think 500 words is enough to tell your story, to be honest with you. I hear that they have reduced the number of words to 300 words. So that will be another case. So you just have to do your best to be precise. So I don't know how that is going
That's
to
going to
be.
be
So for them
disaster.
to reduce to 300 words, they know exactly what they are talking about. So that's you need to have the strategy. And my advice from me and from the coach, from MD himself, was to just say that be precise, and you can pick three good examples that stand out and just bring them to life.
Yeah, power of focus. I hear a lot of
Yeah.
focus. Like don't drift. Keep it locked in. Even though, you're into sustainability, but you also do agriculture on one side, Leave the agriculture for now. Keep it
Yes.
locked in. Right? Keep it locked in because then the attention span of the reader, you want to be memorable. I hear that word. You want them to live it and remember it in their
Exactly.
sleep. Like I read an application yesterday. I'd love to meet this gentleman or this lady. And you can only achieve that when you are not confused yourself.
Exactly.
But if you're confused, you're going to likely confuse the reader as well. So nothing that we can do with that. And from Gladys' explanation now, the word limit looks like a
Mhm.
blessing, right? Attribution, very, very key. There are people on the internet who are looking for somebody's application to just copy and paste. Of course, welcome to the world of artificial intelligence, writing things for people. And I've used this picture intentionally because this shows the evidence of your impact. You took your Chevening thing back to the location. How important is it that you have evidence for your story, right? I know maybe Chevening does not
Yeah.
go and check. They don't do let's come and
Mhm.
confirm because there are thousands of people
Okay.
applying. But how has your own evidence helped you be authentic through the application and also through the scholarship journey itself?
So then, they say pictures tell a thousand, they say a thousand words. I do not even have to do too much because I have a track record. I have a great, a digital footprint. So that's why it's very important to have a very good digital footprint. You don't have to go there to write or post that is contrary to what you are not doing. So, as a social entrepreneur and also as a future leader, I've taken myself to say that I'll use social media for social change. We have this, and this is my platform to then tell my story that really, came full circle when I was writing my Chevening scholarship, because whatever I wrote down was what I was doing. And if you read my application and you go to my social media, doesn't matter if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you will see the same Gladys talking about, working with women, picking plastic waste in marginalized communities, fighting poverty, in slum communities. The same stories I tell them visually through pictures. So evidence is very important. And for your own information, actually, the High Commissioner in Zambia viewed my Facebook. So, so yes, they went through
Mm,
my Facebook way before I was given the acceptance. I mean, the final award later. They went through it and they told me during the interviews that they had gone. They've seen the work. They were proud of me. So please don't underestimate social media. So this is my advice to you. Go and clean your digital footprint. If you are serious about studying
yep.
in the UK, or you want to just, have to fulfill your academic projections and have a great professional life or career, please clean your digital footprint. Start talking about what you want to do, be passionate, and then that is going to connect to what you're writing.
Great. So one more point before we move on from here is for the achievements that you share, you need to be able to beat your chest and confidently say, I did that. Not, I watched it being done. There's a difference between being around. I possibly have told you this story during one of our coaching sessions, and I tell the story to some of my mentees. If we gather, say 5 of us, to cook jollof rice, and thankfully there's no jollof wars between Nigeria and Zambia. It's only Ghana is trying to compete with Nigeria in jollof, and they always lose. They always
Story will
lose
never
because
end.
um, it's never going to end. If we gather to cook jollof rice, one person brings the rice, one person brings the
Yeah.
stove, another person brought the
Mm,
pot, somebody provided us with water, another person brought condiments, right? These are levels of attribution to the
yes.
jollof,
Mm,
right? Now, if you brought the matches to light
yeah.
the fire, your level of attribution to the
Hmm.
success is a little bit less than the person who brought
Yeah.
the rice. Because we could have put on the fire, but what are we
Hmm.
cooking? What part of the jollof is the
Yes.
jollof? So, success takes a village. Sometimes major impact takes a village to deliver, right? But you need to be in a position that we can attribute a lot of that success to your
Exactly.
ideas and your so this is a question for attribution. It's not just that, oh, I was there, or we have done. I like how you mentioned the we versus I. You are able to use I without guilt. And when you want to acknowledge your team, which is also very good, you should do a mix
Mm,
of both. You would say the team that I manage or the team that I supervise delivered X. Because then whatever your team achieves, you have
mhm.
achieved, right? So attribution is very, very important. Beyond the photos, it is doing the groundwork. And I think that gives you the confidence to write
Mm,
freely, to write because you have actually done it, right? Let's move to our next question because now we're running
yeah.
against time. Our next question is about feedback. You are blessed with a lot of mentors, at home,
Mm,
abroad, and you keep, improving your network. What role did feedback take? Because sometimes when you read your own essays, they always sound great
exactly.
to you,
Mm,
don't they? Your own story makes sense in
mhm.
your own ears. what impact did feedback make in refining and strategically making your application better? Did you receive constructive criticism from who, from where? How did that help you out?
Okay, so feedback is very important at every level, whether you are, you're doing business or you are a student. So at this stage, at the application stage, or you're writing your essays, it's critical that you seek advice so that others have a second look at your essays and they will be able to spot errors that you did not see, or they will help you improve the tone of your essay. So I reached out to Chevening alumni, two of them, and I also reached out to MD, my coach for years. I just wanted to, hear their perspective and also see where I can, improve my essays. I didn't want them to change my authentic voice, but what was most important is that they were able to spot, or where I can improve my essays, and that really helped, to be honest. And I did want to, like, the copy and paste situation is quite common, where they tell you, okay, this is not working, and then you want to exaggerate it, or you want to change the whole essay. No, 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 no. I think when you get feedback, you have to sit down and see for what it is and try to improve your essays upon what they have told you, and not to change your authentic voice, or you want to manipulate or exaggerate the whole essay. No, you just have to use the feedback to improve your essays. So my strategy was to actually reach out to the ones that have gone through this journey, and also to my coach who has done this for many years.
Oh, well done, well done. And I like the fact that you maintained your own voice, because at the end of the day, it is your application to
Mm-hmm.
defend. It is your application to live up to,
Mm.
right? I'm also liking the jersey that the lady is putting on. Um, so maybe someday I'm going to get myself a
Of course.
Zambian jersey. Let's wrap up and start going home. Reference letters. I know there are a number of references. You submit reference to Chevening. You also submit reference letters to the individual universities. It's a lot of secretarial job,
Yes,
isn't it?
a lot of work.
Um, and I think sometimes we forget that the references are essays on their
Mm-hmm.
own, right? Even though if your referee is like, say, the president of
Mm-hmm.
Zambia, they are able to say, I know her. That's
Yeah.
the reference letter. Enough, right? They are able to just say, I know
Yes.
Gladys. The letter is done. The reference
Mm-hmm.
letter is done. But if they are not, they may need to write an
Yeah.
essay. How they met you, in what
Mm.
capacity, how long they have
Yeah.
known you. Tell us how important it is to actually get your reference essays right. And how do you, because most of your reference essays are done behind you, not really behind you, but you're not the
It's right.
one who's
Yeah.
writing the reference essays. How do you coach or guide your referees so that they give you the best of references when they're writing?
Okay, so also choosing the right referees, or people should send in the recommendation letter, is also one of the critical aspect of the Chevening application. Please pay attention to this. You need to choose the ones that know you. They've seen the impact that you are making. They are in line with what you're doing professionally. So what I did was that I was so strategic when I chose my references. I went out to them and I showed them my current projects that I'm working on, the impact I have created. I was so specific of all the projects that I'm working on, and I told them about the UK Ed grant I won, and that they should indicate that. They should indicate exactly what I want to study and why. For example, if it's a referee from the university, from my former university, for my undergraduate, so I had to tell them to write some of the skills that or some of the things that I did at the university that are going to show as an evidence that I'm a great scholar, for sure. So he had to write about some of the things I did, for example, working in school clubs, volunteering, learning Chinese language, and also doing all of those, other activities, extra curriculum activities that he had to highlight. But he also highlighted the most important part is that, she has opened her own recycling business in Zambia. She's able to impact 500 so number of people. She's won grants. She's this, she's all of those things. I had to indicate them. If you can, get a piece of paper and write down what needs to be put on that recommendation later, and it should be structured, and it should be, they should, just tell your story to defend you. It's more like they are defending your application.
Wow. So that I like that fact of, highlighting the things that they witnessed, because every person writing a reference for you will know you for a certain period. They may not know the things that have happened since you have left school. For the ones who know you with your work journey, they may not know things that have happened during your school life. So you want to give them a few update, because they're not studying your life. They just know you for a brief period of time. So she was our student, she did this and that, and after school we have heard, we have seen her, win so awards. That's really, really good. And sometimes if you leave it to the referee that, oh guy, you know me now, just right, it's not going to be quality, right? Because sometimes, like I mentioned to you earlier on, the higher you go, the busier your referees
Exactly.
are. I don't know if it makes
Yes.
sense to you, because I mean, if you have not achieved much, maybe your referees are also not too far out. But if you are a very high impact person, the people that you expect reference from would also be high
Exactly.
impact people. So they don't have all the time. Now you have to help them, to say, please, I would like you to mention X, Y, and Z. Oh, I didn't know you won that. I won
Yeah.
it. But you possibly were too busy to
Hmm.
even notice. So it's not bad to remind them of the things to include so they don't
Exactly.
forget. So thank you very much for that. The last question, and I promise this is the last one before we talk about anything else, is what's your litmus test,
Mm.
right? If I give you somebody's application to read, what test must the application essay? Now we're focusing on
Mhm.
the essay. What test will a person reading us today to say, if you can answer this question about your essay, you are ready to submit? How do I know my essay is ready? How did you know that, you know what, I'm not going to waste any more time on this. I've spent enough time. Let me submit now. What's that thing that gave you that confirmation? I will just submit this one.
Um, I think after going through all the after going through all the the reviews, the feedbacks, and also working on the essay several times, I read my essay maybe 10 times. And then after I had actually made sure that all of the essays, there were four, and I had to make sure that the leadership essay was speaking to the networking essay. The networking essay was also speaking to the study in the UK essay. And my career essay now summarized everything that I needed to do. And that confirmed to me to say that I was ready. I was actually, I confirmed myself to say, I am ready to submit this application. I had to review and understand what I was doing. And I made sure that everything was in alignment. And once I was done, to say, am I clear of what I am writing? Am I clear of myself as a leader? What have I done? Have I told the truth about myself? The whole experience, one time I woke up in the middle of the night and said, wow, I I came to learn about myself through writing. I didn't really know what I have done all of these years. I wasn't really writing it down until I said, "Oh wow, now I know, who I am and the skills I have picked on, and I can clearly say that I am proud of myself, and I can now go ahead and submit this essay."
Wow, wow. I
Mhm.
like that. when you feel like after ticking all the
Yes.
boxes, you have followed all of the framework, you have followed an outline, your story is not
Mhm.
divergent, it focuses on your key area of the impact. Even if you are into many things, you're multi talented, your story is
Mhm.
focused. And when you read it again and again, of course, we have talked about feedback from your
Yes.
mentors, you now can see the thread
Mhm.
connect between your essay 1, 2, 3, and 4. But beyond that, you can see your essay 4 summarizing the entire
Mm.
application for the reader so that if they grab just the last essay, they can literally pick out what will be in 1, 2, and 3,
Exactly.
even though they will miss out on
Yes.
the details. But that essay number 4 is the summary of what's going on with your
Mm.
application. Shows us where you're coming from, what you plan to do, and what you would do in the future. That's when you can say, you know what, let's give
Mhm.
this a go. We are ready to
Exactly.
submit. And I think the window of application is 2 months. Hopefully, if you are watching this and you are stumbling on the opportunity for the first time, hopefully you can do it in 2 months. Do you think 2 months is
Yes,
enough?
that's a lot of time if you really, really want to. Uh, if you really want to go to the UK, that's enough time. Honestly, looking back now that I'm here, I just feel like 2 months. 2 months is really a lot of time to put everything together. I was just stressing for nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be honest, it's good if you have time and you can prepare and begin
Mm.
before the time. But of course, to be fair, 2 months is not too small. That's like almost
Yes.
8 weeks. If you start on the day
Mhm.
the portal opens and you start to put
Yeah.
this together, you begin to send the draft out, and start getting those feedback. You're reworking it, and you're committing like reasonable amount of time every day. Set the alarm, right? Set the alarm. Pick a time to write. Pick a time to review. You see it becoming better and better. And before you know it, you have something
Yes.
reasonable to push out. We have already covered a lot of the other aspect of application, how to choose your schools, the other aspect of the application. But the essay is what we have now done a lot of justice to in today's call. So thank you very, very much, Gladys.
Okay.
Um, let's take a final look at the application form. And I'm wrapping things up now. We're wrapping things up. We're going home now. The application requires you to enter your personal details: name, date of birth, um, national ID. It expects you to put your education history, schools you have been to, your volunteering experiences, your work experiences. They want you to calculate your number of hours that you have worked,
Exactly.
correct? And then the course choices, and then your referees, and then the submission deadline for this year. It opens 5th of August. It would close on the 7th of October, which is pretty much exactly
Yes.
2 months. Looking at the application form and the application process holistically, what other insights or advice do you have to applicants beyond the essays?
I think there was also another aspect of I think, is it work experience? There is also, I think there will be a change in work experience. I'm not so sure. Um, they will not count the work experience you did whilst you were in the university. They will just start counting work experience after you graduated from the university. That is the information that I'm learning of now. But however, you have to just calculate, you know, your work experience from the time you started work after you graduated from the university. I think that counts, and they're only looking for 2 years working experience, if I'm not mistaken. And also, when it comes to work experience and talking about what you did, please don't copy directly. Go and copy and paste from your CV like that. No, I think try to put in a bit of effort. As a lead, as a if you want to stand out as an applicant, really, others are going to copy and paste. What are you going to do if you're going to be a winner? You have to try your best and just maybe write it in a paragraph form or just bring those experiences that you did, and bring it on the work experience page. They even say that in the application, to say please don't copy and paste it from the work experience, something like that. So I would advise you not to copy and paste from your CV, and to just try a way to rephrase it and write it in a paragraph form.
So the deliverables you had while you were working should be in like sentence form.
Yes, that's what I did. I just connected everything together.
Makes sense. And if you could use a little bit of the star L approach, would
Yes,
be
exactly.
good. A little bit of numbers, a little bit of showing, not
Yeah.
telling.
That would do.
So we have covered almost every aspect of the essay writing. For the interviews, it's too early to talk about
Yes.
interviews because only a subset of the applicants will be interviewed. If you're invited for interview, that's already a lot of progress. It means that you did something well with the application itself. The interviews would be starting around March. So hopefully we're able to come back to the table to help you specifically with interviews. But for now, we're going to skip, just to put it in your mind that literally the interview is a follow-up on how well your essays are, because the interview is a conversation around your essays, correct? That really brings us to the end of the conversation. For questions and clarity that you may have, please drop them in the comment section. I want to thank you very, very much, Gladys. It's been a long time sitting down and talking about Chevening essays. You have helped us to understand, clarify, outline. You've removed a lot of doubt in our mind. So thank you very much. God bless you. We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations with all of the awards that you have won. And also congratulations in advance for your degree that you're about to wrap up.
Thank you so much, Emdee. Thank you. It was an honor and a privilege to share this platform with you, and just pay it forward. It really means a lot to me, and I wish you all the best. Please don't doubt yourself. If you have any more questions, just reach out to me through my LinkedIn, and I'll be so happy to share with you all the tips. Yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Great. Yeah, just do it. Give it a try. Give it a go.